When you really get into rounding, the important thing again is to read directions carefully. Sometimes they will simply say, round this number. If you have a big number, let's make it challenging. Say 12,372. If it doesn't say to round to a particular place value, it's assumed that you're going to round to the biggest, which in this case is the 10,000s. We've got ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000s. There's always two options going up or down. If I were to round 12,372 down, it would go down to 10,000. If I were to round up, it would go up to 20,000. Sometimes the easiest way to think about a number that is this large, again, is to cover up some of the digits. I think everyone could easily round 12 to the nearest 10, but when we think about it in terms of thousands, our brains sometimes have a hard time wrapping around that concept. But rounding down to 10 or up to 20, easy peasy. What's halfway in between 10 and 20? 15. But again, we're not talking about 10 or 20. We're talking about thousands, 10,000s. So it's going to be 15,000. Then I look again at my big number, 12,372. Which side of the number line does it fall on? Well, almost halfway in between 10,000 and 15,000. Just this side of halfway in between those two. But it's pretty clear from looking at this number line that it's going to round down to 10,000. But if my directions say something different, they might say, for example, round to the nearest 1,000. In that case, I'm not going to be looking at that first digit in the 10,000s place. I'm going to be looking at this digit in the thousands place. And that means I've got to draw an entirely different number line. And my end result is going to be different as well. So this number line, like all of our rounding number lines, has two options, rounding up or rounding down. Anytime you're doing internal rounding, it can be useful to cover up the digits that you don't need to worry about. So essentially, we're rounding 2,372. If I were to round that down, I would round to 2,000. If I were to round that up, I would round to 3,000. What's halfway in between 2,000 and 3,000? Can be a little bit tough, but think about what is half of 1,000. Give yourself some think time on that. To get halfway to 3,000, I would need to go to 2,500. Looking at this number, 2,372, I can see that it's going to fall on this side of the number line. And again, my direction said round to the nearest 1,000. So it was that digit that I was concentrating on. And I can correct now my number line to completely represent the rounding I did just by going in and adding that larger digit.